What's up, winners? Welcome to Stay Winning Wealth. Thank you for tuning into today's live stream. If you're new here, please subscribe, hit the like, invite your friends while we talk about real estate and the impact it has on your money. Okay, so as you may know by the title, foreclosures are up. Okay, foreclosures have been rising for the last 3 months. The last 6 months. So today we're actually going to go over why that's the case. We're going to read over this article together and see why foreclosures are up. Also, the housing shortage, right? So, how that impacts young adults and housing. So, again, if you're new here, just hit the like, hit subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate the support. Okay. So, foreclosures have been on the rise for the last 6 months. But again, nothing to fear. And the reason for that is because it has nothing to do, or the numbers are nowhere near similar to what they were in 2008. Okay. But let me go in and share my screen here. We're going to go over that information. We're going to read through this together. Okay. And again, I'll provide some solutions for you if you happen to be in like a similar situation, so we can make sure you benefit from it. And let's see here. All right. So foreclosures are surging as U.S. homeowners grapple with rising cost. Okay. So the number one reason for foreclosure spiking is actually the cost of just maintaining the property. We're talking about insurance. Okay. We're talking about property taxes, and we're talking about maintenance, right? Like all the products for landscaping, pool cleaning, all those things are going up. HOAs keep going up because those things keep going up. All right. So that's the reason for foreclosure spiking. Also, during the shutdown, so for a period of 2 years, foreclosures weren't being processed. So the reason why you see the rise in foreclosures for 6 months consistently is because these applications are just being caught up. Okay. So let's take a look here. Foreclosures are surging as U.S. homeowners grapple with rising costs. Kimberly Draxler was in shock when she called her mortgage lender in April and was told her 4-bedroom home in Hillview, Kentucky will be sold out from under her in a matter of days. Guys, this is actually really scary when that happens. I almost lost a home to foreclosure back in 2000, was it 17, 16? I had been unemployed for 7 months. And luckily, by the grace of God, I was able to save my property that I had bought when I was 24. Okay. So thank you, Jesus, for that. All right. So, though she had been alerted that something might be wrong by a letter in the mail from an attorney offering assistance in warding off foreclosure, she said her lender never informed her that she was about to lose her home. They never called me and told me they were just going to rip my house right underneath me, Draxler told CBS News. Draxler's lender said it notifies all borrowers of a possible foreclosure by mail and by phone throughout the process in compliance with federal debt collection rules. So, federal debt collection rules, yes, they do have to notify you that there is an attempt to collect a debt, whether it's by phone, whether it's by mail, whether it's by email, depending on what your preference is with the bank as far as the form of communication goes. Before learning that her home was entering foreclosure, Draxler, who is 57 and on disability, that makes it even crazier. I mean, if my house got foreclosed on, I would say I'm still young enough to start fresh, right? And I had no kids, no mouth to feed. It was just me. But at 57, when you're ringing around retirement age and you're on disability, that's pretty sad and scary. Said she stayed afloat financially by relying on her son, who contributed $600 a month to help her take care of the household expenses. But after he moved out in 2024, her bills began to pile up. And if you follow me on social media, you will see that I post that there's rising costs on utilities. And the crazy part about that is like, I just remember for decades they've been saying, change the light bulb, upgrade your appliance to save on electricity. But no matter what, the electric bill keeps increasing. So, to echo a lot of the people, it's all a scam. All Nighter Hider, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. Hello, I hope you're doing well. God bless you. Hit the like to show support. But yeah, thank you for the comment. I appreciate you showing up. All right, so let's continue on with this personal story, which I think is actually a nice touch to us smoothing into that transition of why foreclosures are life. Yeah, energy is life. But yeah, I think you're older than me, Hyder. So you may remember how They're always saying upgrade the light bulbs, upgrade the appliances, save on electricity. And the electric bill keeps going up. So that's crazy. But yeah, I appreciate the like and the support here. And welcome to those that have tuned in. And then, feel free to keep letting me know your thoughts, guys. All right. So the financial pressures bearing down on Drexel highlight the struggles of homeowners still grappling with the rising cost of everything from housing and groceries to energy bills and insurance coverage. With many households stretched thin, unexpected events such as job loss, unplanned medical expenses, or even simple car problems can cause people to fall behind on their mortgage. I swear, every time there's like an extra paycheck, right? So if you get paid 26 times a year, 2 months out of the year, you get a third paycheck that month. For some reason, in most cases, myself personally and other people I talk to, something happens with your car where you need some kind of maintenance on that month that you have that extra check. So when you're thinking, oh, hey, this month I'm gonna have a little extra to do something nice, your car knows and it's aware that, hey, I need this, I need that. So in a way, if you've been in a situation as well, I like to look at it as a blessing that your car was able to run good up until you needed, up until that extra income that month where it might need something, right? So you don't necessarily, yeah. So maybe you didn't get ahead in something or in a nice dinner or adding bacon or avocado to your toast, but you were able to handle business. So look at it as a blessing. I've been there myself. But let's continue on with this here because we can all relate to the rising cost of energy bills and rising cost of groceries. Okay. Um, so at least in my area in California, there's always a gas tax that hits every year, maybe even twice a year. And even though federally the national average of gas goes down, and a lot of gas is used to transport groceries, which eventually plays into the price of groceries. I'm in California, and California groceries are like 50%, 60% of the nation's groceries. So if California gas is high, those costs will be passed on to the consumer at the grocery store. Let's look at more comments here. Corporations find it easier to raise prices versus an employee asks for a raise. That's the reason I see wages not keeping up with rising prices. It's very tough for wages to keep up with rising prices. I know there's a lot of talk about immigration at the moment, and ideally, right, that should balance out wages. But that's not going to happen overnight. But let me give you an example of rising wages. So in AOC, her district, Amazon wanted to place a warehouse there. AOC fought hard, said, hey, Amazon, big corporations are evil. You can't place a warehouse here. I saw a YouTube video where they go on the street and they interview people in her district who disagree and actually wanted the warehouse there because it would provide jobs and quote unquote faster delivery for their items, right? Because it'll be nearby. So Amazon decides, well, they're always expanding, but just a different example. They decided to place a warehouse outside of Boise, Idaho, Meridian, if I'm not mistaken. And the state of Idaho says, yeah, sure, you can go ahead and do this, build a warehouse here, just fix the roads around you. And the only requirement, for your tax breaks is build commercial property here. So Amazon goes into Idaho compared to what they did in New York, where they just stayed away. They go into Idaho, they create commercial buildings, they create more jobs. There's like Dutch Bros there now, Starbucks, some coffee shop, Target, etc. Across the street now from the Amazon warehouse. The roads there are fixed, the housing values went up. So there's pros and cons, right, to these big corporations. But just two different examples of how one can work out one way and one can work out the other way. Doesn't mean one's right or one's wrong, right? It all comes down to preference, but just two different results with two different actions. But because there were so many more jobs available, right? That's the point I was getting at to reply here to Hyder's comment. Now there's more jobs than people. So even though the minimum wage in Idaho, I think is like $7 or $9 an hour, all these jobs are paying you 15 plus. Now, when there's more jobs than people, they're fighting for talent, right? And what happens is they end up raising the wages to get the employees. So a lot of times the gas station goes, oh, I'll pay you 17. And a big corporation might be like, I can't pay you 17. I will pay you 16, but you get paid time off, you get healthcare, you get tuition reimbursement. Now you have choices. So now you as an employee are are seen more valuable in the market because there's more jobs than people. So think about it. Every Amazon warehouse can employ thousands of people, right? And when you have a population that's less than that of the surrounding areas already employed, this is when wages start going up, right? So even though the minimum wage in Idaho is like $7 or $9 an hour, no one is making that. Everyone's making 18 hours plus. I've been there. I talked to people, and they're able to make a living off these jobs very decently, especially in two household income compared to what the cost is in Idaho, where you can still grab property for the $300,000 range. So, just an example of, ideally, when there's more jobs than people, that's when wages start going up. I know the job market right now is not the best, right? AI isn't actually going to help out the job market. Just take a look at this YouTube channel, for example. I would ideally want to go hire an editor, a camera person, etc. One is expensive, right? But I want to get to that point where this channel is making that kind of income where I can employ these people. But now with AI, it like I don't need an editor. I have to turn people away. People that are willing to do it for $5, $10 a video, because AI allows me to go ahead and edit these videos, edit the audio. I don't have to buy like a $300 mic anymore. I could buy this $30 mic and sound just as great because AI can fine tune it for me later. So that's kind of scary right now with the job market out there. The positive about that though is rate cuts. So for my real estate investors out there, rate cuts, um, we like those, right? Hater, let's see here. Hater, minimum wage is absolutely terrible for economics. That's not free market at all. Restricting employers from adjusting and workers and company being able to negotiate. Yeah, exactly. So in California, it's a done deal. This is it. This is where you're getting paid 16.50 if it's like a smaller company, $17 if it's a bigger company, and that's it. And then there's people in Idaho where there is no, you know, these states that just follow the federal minimum wage. They give these tax breaks to these big companies that come in, provide thousands of jobs, and now the free market starts, and they're all competing for people and employees. And then that's where it's like, okay, cool. They pay me 20. Oh, they pay me 19, but I get, 2 weeks off paid. Oh, they pay me 18, but they pay for my school. So now it's like, you work what's better for you, right? They're like, oh, they pay me 17, but I don't have to work nights and weekends. So ideally, that's where we want to get to, right, Heider? Versus something like California, where it's like, oh, that's it. You're going to pay $17 an hour. If you're working in fast food, you're going to get paid $20 an hour, and all of a sudden, your $5 biggie bag is worth $8 now. So after taxes, that's literally 1 hour of work to afford a biggie bag. All right, but let's go back to the real estate stuff. So I just couldn't handle it anymore. Although foreclosures, which include default notices, scheduled auctions, or bank repossessions, right? So there's a lot of things that are considered that, right? So if you're late 3 months, 2 months, it will be considered foreclosure for the purpose of counting these. So as of August, foreclosures filings had risen 6 straight months. I said that at the beginning of the stream. I'm telling you guys, I keep up with this data all the time. So this confirms that I was correct, and we're up 18% from the same period in 2024. But again, remember, a lot of that has to do with the backlog of these applications. Okay. So according to property data firm Adam, that's the information. One moment here. I might have to cut the live stream because I'm at work. So we'll probably have to do that. But thank you for tuning in. We'll talk shortly.